teachers. Despite my fairly Queen's English accent, I actually grew up in Johannesburg in South Africa. And the little Elly was quite a jumped-up little hyperactive kid with big fuzzy hair, and who didn't stop talking, not that different from now, but most of all, didn't stop asking questions. And I wanted to know, why was the sky blue? Why did bread go mouldy? Why was wood brown? And my family were quite patient, and they answered my questions most of the time. But sometimes there were questions, especially as I got older, that they couldn't answer, or the answers that I got were unsatisfactory. Why, when in my primary school, why were there only white children in my school? Why did the African children have to go to a different school? Why did I live in a big house with my own bedroom and my own playroom, even my own bathroom? But 20 minutes down the road was a large informal settlement where people lived in tin shacks with no electricity and no running water. So I realized quite early on that life wasn't fair, and there was a lot of inequality in the world, and nothing was just for everyone. And I was desperate to know why no one seemed to be doing anything about it. And as the years went on, no one was interested in answering those questions or solving the problems around them. I lost my desire to question why the world wasn't fair. I decided I was just a child, and I was not going to solve these problems by myself, and there was nothing I could do. When I was 14, I moved to the UK, and later I went to medical school, and I thought, well, finally, maybe now I can start helping people, or at least I'll meet people who, like me, will be asking questions. Actually, I was really disappointed. I got to medical school and discovered people didn't want to be doctors to help people, but they wanted to be doctors because their parents were doctors, or they thought they made quite a lot of money being a doctor, or, well, you have to have a prestigious career, and it's either law or medicine. I was disappointed, and I still didn't ask any questions, and I'd lost all my energy. I felt lost. About a year later, a local global health group started up in my school called Medicine UK, and they seemed to ask questions, and so I joined. And a year later, I was on the national committee, and I got to go to an IFMSA meeting in Macedonia, and then a year later after that, I was president of Medicine. And the best thing was, I discovered I didn't need to be an adult, I didn't need to be a grown-up to make change, but actually that I wasn't alone asking questions. I was part of the national committee, I had my local committee, I was part of 30 local committees, a whole national network of thousands of young people who were asking questions. And even more amazing than realizing that I was part of a national movement to fight health inequalities, I discovered the IFMSA and realized I was part of an international movement. Hearing all the stories today, I think, really demonstrates how the people who maybe get attracted to being part of the IFMSA are really here to fight inequalities, to stand up for what they believe in. Normal barriers don't exist here. Yesterday I saw young people from China, South Korea and Taiwan come together to discuss how to make a strategic, realistic plan about how to combat climate change in their country. I have never been so inspired, and I can't even imagine that happening at COP17 in Durban with hundreds of grown-ups who should know better, and after only 3 days of education and training as well. We speak different languages, we come from different countries, we have different cultures, beliefs, religions, but we all come together to do the same thing, to ask questions. How can we change the world? We do it in different standing committees, but we all do the same thing, and I think that's amazing. I realize that sometimes, though, you get tired of fighting. You feel overwhelmed by emails, buried in your inbox. You have deadlines, we have exams, we're all full-time students, and we're supposed to have social lives as well, apparently. And you wonder, why am I involved? Am I even making a difference? Is anyone noticing the change? And then I try to remember, actually, I'm not alone. We're not only part of a committee, we're part of an NMO, or a standing committee, or a region. We're part of nearly 100 countries that come together. But in fact, we're even bigger than that. We're part of a global youth movement. Not just 1.2 IFMSA members, but rather millions of young people from thousands of organizations around the world who are standing up and questioning the world we live in. We have the potential to produce change, not because we're part of the IFMSA, but because we have the naivety of youth. We still believe the world can change, and we haven't given up on it. We believe that it doesn't need to be filled with health inequalities, that people don't need to die needlessly from AIDS or TB or conflict. And we still believe that change can happen. So I ask us to stand up, to continue being examples, not just for our NMO and medical students, but for all young people. We're part of the biggest youth organization in the world, and we have so much potential. So never stop asking questions. Never stop demanding for change, because our leaders who are making the decisions right now aren't making decisions that affect their future. They're making the decisions that affect our future. So thank you. Thank you for enabling me to rediscover the ambitious, optimistic young Elly that I've given up on, who never stops asking questions. Thank you.